The Fountain of Youth. In a time when the world was still shrouded in mystery and wonder, legends were whispered from generation to generation like a timeless breeze, speaking of a sacred spring that could restore youth to those who drank from it. This tale was nothing short of a sweet dream that ignited the spirit of one explorer named Juan Ponce de León. He was not driven by a thirst for gold or power, but by an intense desire to find what people called the Fountain of Youth. It was a yearning that had taken root deep in his heart since childhood. This story was the beacon that illuminated his path, leading him to cross a vast and terrifying ocean. The crashing waves did not deter him. Many ships sank to the bottom of the sea, and many crew members were lost forever. But these were merely tests of his unwavering resolve. A challenging path. De León's journey was far from easy. The storm seemed to know his purpose, trying to block his way with mountains of water and flashes of lightning that split the darkness. But De León never gave up. Every time a storm subsided, he would stand alone on the deck, gazing at the stars glittering in the night sky and questioning if his desire was a mere illusion. Yet whenever despair crept in, he would recall the legend of the Fountain of Youth, making his heart race once more. He believed that youth was not just about a strong body, but a spirit full of hope and perseverance. As they neared the new land, the weather changed completely. Humid heat and thick forests replaced the vast ocean. De León ordered his crew to prepare for exploration. He found this land to be astonishingly beautiful, filled with plants he had never seen before and animals that called out as if to greet the newcomers. But even with all its beauty, danger lurked. They faced venomous snakes and strange insects. Many crew members fell ill with an unknown disease, but De León's resolve did not waver. He told his crew to have faith that once they found the sacred fountain, everything would be well again. The Forest of Despair. After many days of trekking deeper into the jungle, signs of despair began to show. The crew, once full of hope, now had tired faces and empty eyes. They started murmuring about a story that seemed too good to be true and said they should turn back. De León sensed this change. He tried to inspire his crew with words of hope, but to no avail. Until one day, as he walked ahead alone into the deep forest, he noticed something strange. The chirping of birds and insects had gone silent, as if swallowed by an eerie stillness. And then a faint emerald green light shone from ahead. It was not the light of the sun, but an unidentifiable glow. De León quickly called his crew to follow him. The hope that had flickered began to blaze again. He ran through thickets and tangled vines until he finally found what he had been searching for his entire life. It was a spring hidden among ancient vines and knotted trees. The water was clear, emerald green, so pristine he could see the pebbles at the bottom. The light reflecting from the spring was more beautiful than words could describe, like a painting crafted by the gods. The Hidden Truth. As De León was about to bend down to drink from the sacred spring, a gentle whisper filled the air around him. The voice was unlike any language he had ever heard, but he understood it instantly. It was a voice full of kindness and great power. It told him to drink from the sacred spring, and he would be young again. But then the voice fell silent, and another whisper emerged within his mind. But if you drink it, you must pay with a great loss. De León was confused, but his thirst for youth was stronger. He did not hesitate. He reached into the spring to scoop up the water. The moment his fingertips touched the surface, he felt the refreshing coolness spread through his entire body. The fatigue that had accumulated for years vanished as if it had never existed. His heart, which had beaten slowly, now raced as if reborn. he scooped up the water and drank gulp after gulp. The instant the sacred water flowed down his throat, he felt as if time had reversed. When he looked at himself again, De León was astonished by the sight before him. The wrinkles on his face were gone, his gray hair had turned a deep black, and his weary body was now strong and vigorous. Overwhelmed with excitement and joy, he rushed back to where he thought his crew was waiting, but all he found was emptiness. No ship, no sound, only an all-encompassing silence. Doubt and confusion began to take hold. De León woke from his beautiful dream to find himself still in the deep jungle, surrounded by ancient trees and tangled vines. There was no ship, no crew, only him. Everything was a strangely vivid dream. He walked back to where he thought the sacred spring was, but all he found was an old, dried-up well. Only cracked stone ground and the remains of dry leaves were left. De León sat down by the withered well and looked at his reflection on the parched surface. He saw the face of an old man, etched with the experience and disappointment. And he understood immediately that the spring he had drunk from was not real, but a mirage his mind had created to soothe the deep desire in his heart. He stayed there for many days and finally decided to return to his ship with a glimmer of hope. When he arrived at the coast, he found something surprising. His crew was still waiting for him, and when they saw him, they were overjoyed that he was safe. De León recounted his vivid dream, but they told him he hadn't been gone for long, only a few hours. This story made De León realize that true youth was not in some sacred spring, but in the journey he had undertaken, the obstacles he had overcome, and the bond he had with the crew who traveled with him. He realized that what he had craved his whole life was not a young body, but the hope that had driven him to embark on the journey in the first place. De León returned to the new settlement he had named St. Augustine. He spent the rest of his life telling the story of the fountain of youth he had found. But no one believed him. Everyone thought it was just the fantasy of an old man who wanted to be young again. Nevertheless, the story of the Fountain of Youth became a legend passed down by word of mouth. This legend may not have made people young again, but its story has become an inspiration for many who traveled to St. Augustine in search of what they truly desire. The journey may not make you young again, but it makes your heart young again. Hope, dreams, and determination are the true immortal fountains within every human heart.